At one stage, Derrick Rose's life was moving exactly the way people dream about. He came out of Englewood, Chicago, and climbed every level without slowing down. He became a star early, carried that into college as a first-team All-American, and then heard his name called first on draft night by his hometown team. Before most players even settle into the league, he was already holding an MVP trophy and leading a Chicago Bulls team with the best record in basketball. Everything was going Rose's way. But then came Game 1 of the 2012 playoffs. From there, the story changed.
I'm never going to be the same.
The seasons that followed were filled with pauses instead of progress. The full version of Derrick Rose never got another clean stretch. In 2011, he became the youngest MVP in NBA history. 2 years later, his career was already being described with one question that never really left the conversation. What if Derrick Rose never got injured? To answer that, there are 6 parts to this story, and it all starts with how unstoppable he looked before injuries took over. Chapter 1, the rise that felt unstoppable. Before injuries became part of the conversation, Derrick Rose felt inevitable. From his early seasons in Chicago, defenders looked uncomfortable guarding him. Staying in front of him was hard. Waiting at the rim didn't solve much either. Help defenders showed up, and Rose still found a way to finish. Watch games from 2010 and 2011. One screen was enough. Rose turned the corner, and the defense immediately started scrambling. Against Miami, he attacked the paint again and again, finishing through contact from players whose main job was protecting the rim. Against Boston, he absorbed hits from veteran defenders and stayed aggressive. Against Atlanta, he lived in the lane until the defense looked worn down. He moved fast, but his decisions were calm. That combination is rare, especially for someone so young. With that, we're moving to his MVP season. Chapter 2, the MVP season that felt like the start. The 2010-2011 season changed how people viewed Derrick Rose. Chicago didn't slowly climb into relevance. 62 wins, best record in the league, best defense in the league. And when games slowed down, the solution stayed simple. Give the ball to Derrick Rose. Everyone knew the play. The defense knew it too. It didn't change the outcome. Rose averaged over 25 points and 7 assists, but the numbers don't fully explain the pressure he handled. At 22 years old, Derrick Rose won the MVP, becoming the youngest player in league history to do it. His jumper was improving, his three-point shot was becoming more reliable, his decision-making kept getting sharper. That season didn't feel like a peak, it felt like the foundation. Chapter 3, a team built to grow with him. The Chicago Bulls were built around Derrick Rose, but they were also built correctly around him. Joakim Noah anchored the defense, Luol Deng took the toughest wing assignment every night, and Carlos Boozer provided steady scoring inside. Most of that core was in its mid-20s, developing on the same timeline as a 22-year-old MVP who was still improving. The Bulls won games through structure, with Rose controlling tempo and solving problems late in possessions. In this version, the 2013 injury never happens. Rose stays on the floor, Joakim Noah remains a secondary playmaker instead of a primary option, and late-game offense stays functional instead of grinding to a halt. The conversation around Chicago shifts from whether they can survive without Rose to how far this core can realistically go with him still leading it. Chapter 4, the prime years that slipped away. Most stars take their biggest leap in their mid to late 20s. That's when the game slows down. That's when players sharpen their jumper. Derrick Rose never got a clean stretch of those years. Instead of stacking elite seasons, he spent time rehabbing, learning how to move differently, learning how to protect his body, trying to stay on the floor. He adjusted his game. He added craft. He learned how to score without relying completely on speed. But development needs rhythm. It needs repetition. Rose's career became a series of restarts. Just when momentum started to build, something interrupted it again. The version of Derrick Rose that combined early explosiveness with full experience never really got the chance to show himself. Chapter 5, how the Eastern Conference might have changed. For much of the 2010s, the Eastern Conference felt predictable. Teams had strong regular seasons, then the playoffs arrived, and the same outcome usually waited at the end. Chicago had the pieces to challenge that pattern. In 2011, the Bulls lost to Miami in the conference finals, but the games were close and physical. Those are the games where shot creation matters most. A healthy Derrick Rose gives Chicago more chances to break through, more time to adjust, more belief that they belong at the top. They didn't need to dominate the conference for years. One breakthrough would have changed how the league viewed them. Chapter 6, the numbers that hint at something bigger. The injury Derrick Rose suffered in 2012 marked a shift in how his career unfolded. From that point on, his path started to resemble other elite players whose talent was never in doubt, but whose prime years never fully played out. Rose now gets mentioned with players like Bill Walton, Brandon Roy, Anthony Hardaway, Grant Hill, and Tracy McGrady. Each of them reached the top of the league and still left people wondering how much more there could have been. Still, it's hard not to think about the seasons that never came and the prime years that never had time to stretch. That's where Derrick Rose's story now sits, defined by how much was still possible when everything changed. Derrick Rose's name still makes people pause because everyone remembers how it felt watching him when everything was possible. When you ask, what if Derrick Rose never got injured, the answer points in one clear direction. With health, Rose likely adds several All-NBA seasons, spends more years competing deep in the playoffs, and stays among the league's elite guards through his prime. And that's why the question never disappears, because sometimes the most powerful legacy is not what happened, but what almost did. If you enjoyed this breakdown, let us know which NBA what if you want us to explore next.